Fire King structure deck has landed, and we're here to see what interesting lists are coming out of this very early. Make sure you guys smash that crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. So the first list we're going to be looking at here is what I would consider a little bit more interesting, at least in the regards of some of the little packages that are included in here. Now remember, OCG, first off, does have skill drain limited to 1, so you're not going to be able to take advantage of, you know, just all of these fire monsters are going to be able to destroy and then have them be able to come back and detour your opponent in some way. No, we're not actually doing that. I also see that we're playing a very minimalistic Dia Bellstar package in here, and it's just 2 copies of the Send, and then you bring out a level 1. Maybe this was aimed for like more budget options, but okay. I also see in here that we are playing one of the Tri-Brigade traps as well. Good old Revolt. So you can actually go ahead and laugh at your opponent, and then go ahead and set up into something kind of devastating like a Shirog for the interruption, because we're very Beast Warrior oriented in here, because you do see that we are playing, you know, a couple of the vessels up there and the left. So that's kind of an interesting little inclusion for what they're doing, and it does look like 2 Fire King Island and 2 of the Placer for it. Playing 1 Circle of the Fire King as well. I'm not exactly too crazy about that. We're also playing 1 copy of, 1 Maximus with triple Nadir Servant in here as well. So it looks like we're attempting to do some Maximus lines of play. You get the level 8 on the field, and then you can go ahead and start toggling on into the higher end Exceed monsters, so you can once again pressure the opponent. But this is a very interesting take. I didn't think that we would see people trying to take advantage of the Nadir stuff in here and, you know, try to set this up. I mean, also, you gotta have the Maximus kind of stick around until another turn or something, but it does, well, you can do the Exceed during the opponent's turn for sure. You have little things that you can do for sure. This list just looks weird to me. It doesn't feel very optimized per se. All right, what else we got going on back here in terms of the Fire King stuff? I see, okay, now this feels a little bit more my style of pace. I see that we are playing triple copies of X-Trap, so this build does care about draw power versus the last list that was, you know, you had Nadir Servants for the tech choices, you know, what I would consider more streamlined here. Now we are playing 1 little Garunix instead of, you know, we're playing 3 big ones, as you should be. To be perfectly honest with you, the big one is going to be some of the big stuff that you wanted to see. One of the things that I think a lot of people initially looked at with this deck was they were like, you know, how consistently are we going to be slamming into the big Fire King monsters? How often are these powerhouses actually going to come up? And I think the answer is quite decently from the way that these builds are looking. We're also only playing 1 Fire King Island in this build. I mean, you have 3 setters to the ability to bring it out, but and the previous list you did see the 2-2 split versus, you know, 1-3. I think either way, you're going to have it work out in terms of ratios. So you've got a pretty good spread for what you want to do here. Extra deck down here is going to be dedicated to Doomsday Stars, Zeus's. You are seeing the 1 Orcust Dingarisu actually showing up as a power card. Double SP Little Knight with the double IP, which is telling me that this deck really doesn't care. And, you know, unfortunately, this build's not doing the little Revolt things that we saw on the first list. I'll be honest with you, I think that that's completely gimmicky. And then, you know, we're still doing the little Fire Warrior package in here of 1 tanky, double Barong, triple of the Elephant, which I think is fine. Hand traps, I think, feel a little bit fine. Standard side deck feels pretty alright as well. In terms of generalized construction, this feels a lot better. But you've got so many variations to this deck right now, it's kind of crazy. Our next list here, oh boy, you know, 3 level 8s to make Giant Trainer lets you draw 3 cards. All right, once again, think about that. You are able to just amass this huge pool of cards if you can get to that many monsters. I'm going to not lie to you. I think that this extra deck is a joke. With the 3 Hada, 3 Diamond Dire, 3 Giant Trainer, and 3 of the Phoenix itself. We're not even playing 15. We're not even playing Pot of Extravagance in this build. This would be what I would consider the more casual, laid-back approach to things. Now, we do have Wolfbark in here, which is a extremely nice change of pace. Holy moly, somebody understands. Not gonna lie, Wolfbark seems kind of fun in the whole little, I can bring back my little avatars, we can kind of combo on through and do some little cute lines of play like that, but you still have to commit a normal summon to it, and it is very easily negatable, so that's not exactly on the top of my agenda. See that we are playing the Rekindling in here as well. We have Torrential Tributes to, well, hey, you know what, something blew up by a card effect. Caw goes my KFC chicken as it flies on back. I see that in the side deck over here, we are playing Power Sink Stones, which is kind of interesting because, I mean, you trigger the first effect, puts a marker on it. Now, whenever your opponent attempts to do something, second marker comes down, your opponent just looks at you and goes, wow, thanks for playing, Duelist. I'm really happy to have had you be my opponent. And then we are playing the Flamvell counter in here as well. I mean, you have Rekindling and you do have the Flamvell counter, you just... do we even have like a method to search this? I don't think we do, but I would, if you're looking at this list, this would be considered more of the jank pile of things, but it does open up the door to kind of showcase some of the greedier tech choices per se. Now, okay though, this feels a little bit more my pace. All right, I see that somebody out here understands that the Diabellstar package with the level 1 bird is actually pretty freaking good. Okay, so the Diabellstar package allows you to, kick something off of the field, basically to put the bird on the field, since it is a level 1 fire monster, and then the bird, gets you the ability to toggle on essentially the entire deck at that point, which is what you want to be able to do. Now, this extra deck is so much more optimized than what we'd seen in the previous build here, but you're going to notice one of our friends here, actually, and that is good old Artifact Scythe. Now, unfortunately, TCG has not had Scythe Lock in a very, very long time, but this does give you a what-if scenario here. If we were to kind of turn back the clock here and say, hey, Scythe is justifiable at this point. If you have another deck like this that's like, hey, we can go ahead and we can Scythe Lock our opponent playing frickin' Fire Kings. Of all things, it's just one more little win condition for a deck like this to kind of pressure the opponent with at the end of the day. So it's kind of interesting. The rest of the extra deck, completely optimized. Since we're not playing anything other than one Pot of Prosperity, you can get away with, stretching down a lot of the fat from the extra deck. And that's where you're going to make a lot of your optimized tech choice calls for a list like this. Outside of that, I think everything else looks pretty standard. Hand trap ratio is fine. Double Tenki is fine. As you're seeing here, there's a lot of argument for the number of Tenkis that you want to play. And I think a lot of that's going to come down to how much you value the Beast Warrior side of the deck. And of course, the Diabellstar package is going to get you so far in life with this deck. And our last little list here, once again, somebody else gets it. We do see some more Diabellstar good stuff here. I also see, next to that Pot of Prosperity, is the Fire Barrier statue. We've really come that far that we're getting away with playing the Fire Barrier statue of all things. Actually, you thought the Wind Barrier statue was unfun. The fact that you just have now the Fire Barrier statue, we've seen Water kind of doing a little bit out here. I think this proves that any of the barrier statues actually can get you some sort of worth. So that's a very interesting tech choice. I see we are playing Kaiser Coliseum over here as well. So I guess the whole point is, once again, we don't have this, but they want to put one big fire boy on the field, aka the big Chicken Exceed, and your opponent just stares at it and goes, what am I supposed to do about this? Or you need to play a Doomsday Star and laugh at your opponent all the way to the bank. But this is slightly more optimized. In comparison to some of the other builds that we saw. I think that this should give you a pretty interesting base if you want to start playtesting a little bit early here. Some of the ideas and things. The Diabellstar package is going to be one of the best carries that you can kind of unload into a deck like this and actually get the most mileage out of it. And I think a lot of people definitely having a level 1 fire monster, or at least having access to it, just changes this deck's structure so much. So what do you think about the breakdown for these decks? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you're saying. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.